These guys, how's it going? It's OSCO here, back with another video. Today, we're going to be breaking down a 140 bass that I've been making on a tune that I'm working on. It's early stages at the moment, but the sound design process is sort of there, and it's using a technique that I've never really used before, and I thought it'd be cool to share with you guys. Yeah, without further ado, let's just jump into the video. Alright guys, so we're here in the track. What I'm going to do is just play the track for you. I'm going to let it play out, a little bit before the drop. It's not done yet, like I said, but it's just something that I've been working on. I think the sound is really cool, and you guys can take a similar sort of process to achieve a similar sound. Now, it's not going to be the same due to the nature of the sounds that I've selected and its layers, but it's more to provoke, again, just to provoke thoughts into like the way that you might think about making sounds, you know? Yeah, without any time wasting, let's just get into this. So yeah, that's what I've written so far. I think it's a pretty cool sound. So let's just go into how I made it. So this sound is like basically compiled of two main sounds. So I've got two different subs, sort of like going on and off of each other in the orange here. So this is like my subgroup. And then in the blue, I have my layers. So what's going on in the layers? Basically, these are different arrangements of vocals that have either been pitched down. Well, I think they're all pitched down, but they're just, really, really weird, like poppy, future EDM-y kind of vocals. So like if I play these at their original pitch, okay, well, so they're just like kind of like weird staccato-y. Can I find that? So that's what it is. But it's resampled loads, and it's been processed a lot, and then I've pitched it down. So basically, I've just compressed it loads and put a reverb on it, I think, and then if we put it back down to the way that it was, it sounds like this. And what I've done to process on that vocal is I've used my quick edit rack. And if you've got Live 11, you can grab that on my Discord. I still need to get the Live 10 version working because I've uninstalled Live 10 from my computer. And yeah, I'll get around to it. Then that's going into a Pro Q3, just banding out the frequencies, because when you pitch things down that low, you're obviously introducing sub information, which I'm cutting out. I wanted to leave some subs in there. As you can see, it's like quite cut quite low. Let's just get some of the meat in there, and that's what I'm cutting out. So I don't know, just leaving some of that in just gives it a little bit more grit. And then that's going into an amp. The amp is set to like boost, and you can see the settings down here. So yeah, you can copy the settings here. I'm not going to go through those. But basically, I'm just boosting the mids on it and give it a bit of gain. Then that's going into another EQ, because when you amplify those frequencies, you're distorting and adding harmonics both on the upper end and the lower end. So quickly just banding out those frequencies again. Use the channel EQ just to really accentuate the highs. So listen to that without... It's just bringing out some of that top, which is quite nice. And I'll show you this before the amp. So the amp makes a huge difference. That's like the entirety of the sound for the most part. And then I've got an isotope trash on here, and I'm just using the convolve feature set to like the Hanover bass preset in the amps section. So basically I'm using an amp simulator that's kind of like taken the impulse response of an amp, and then I'm running it through that. So without that, sounds really in your face, but then sort of sets it back and into this like, I don't know. It's a lot easier to mix after I put this in. Let's just give it. Let's say that it just sort of limited its frequency response, and then also sounded like it was in a space, which was quite nice. That's going into Soothe. Soothe is a harmonic resonance suppressor. It's Soothe is amazing for sound design, and I'm just using that to like squeeze out some of the edgy sounds on it. So if we give that a listen, it's really subtle, but is really nice as well. Like I throw this on a lot of my basses just to sort of even out any like honky sounds that can be added by boosting EQs to such drastic amounts and amplifying things like crazy. And then this is just my sidechain to my kick. If you're not using Duck to sidechain, go check out my go to sidechain video. That'll be listed either in the description or you'll get a little notification above me to go see that video. So yeah, and then that one, so you can see that the bass line is moving. It's not just like a static bass, and what I'm doing per note, as you can see here, if I click on each one, oh well, apparently I'm not changing it, but I think it does change. Strange. That one should go up. That one should definitely be going up. Yeah. Hey, I forgot to put that pitch that one up, but that one should be going up. And yeah, basically what I've done with most of these other patches like here is like, you can see as I move along the thing, you can see that I'm changing the relationship of the pitch per clip. Now I could have just thrown this into a sampler, but for some reason I just like working with audio like this, because when I select a piece of audio, I can just, if you hit the Alt button, or I believe the Function button on a Mac, you can move the start and end position and scrub through bits of audio. And I know that you don't even have to do that. You can just jump straight into like this view. And I think with Alt, Control, and Shift, you can also do the same thing here. So you can see, if you look down the bottom here, if you've got me on full screen mode, you can see that that's scrubbing through the frame of the audio clip. And yeah. And what that this is just another strange bait vocal as well. This one sounds like this. And then we've got this one up here, which is doing a similar thing. Yeah, so I just sort of like layered them in a way that I thought sounded nice and like sort of created an interesting movement. So together, these all sound like this. And I've got this other layer on the bottom, which is sort of like a muddy, crispy layer to sort of give it like grit, I guess. And I'm just going to turn that up because I like this one quite a bit. And what this is just a clip from a movie that I watched recently called Hereditary. It's just a really dark, twisted horror film, sort of psychological horror film. And there's a scene, really iconic scene in this film. The actress, I forget her name, but she did such an amazing job in this film of portraying this mother who lost her daughter and in a tragic car accident. And yeah, you'd have to go watch this film anyways. That's not really a spoiler, like the entire plot of the film. It's insane. You really need to go watch it if you haven't already. But there's a scene in it where she's crying, and it was just really powerful, and I thought I'd use that to layer in with the bass, and it just adds this extra bit of grit. And I kind of like the idea that I've just pulled this thing from a horror movie and like put this underneath my basses and layered it with the same processing, where it's just like EQ, soothe, and yeah, I don't think there's any distortion. No, on the quick edit. But yeah, maybe I'll end up distorting this to just give it a little bit of extra grit, because like right now, just by pitching it down, it's got a nice bit of like that sort of growliness to it. I think we might try throwing this on it now and see how that sounds if I put it on before the EQ. And the EQ is just banded out on a lot of these. So like my Pro Q settings are just like choosing a very specific frequency within these audio clips to sort of put into each one. You can see that's on the vocal layer, and then this is on the vocal layer as well. And I'm choosing just very particular parts of those vocals to cut through, because I don't want the mix to get too muddy as I'm layering these things on top. I really like these sounds combined together, and basically the sub is just a operator that is just a basic FM patch. So if I hit, and there's really no processing on it. No, I lie, there's a little bit, but it's mainly just a little bit of multiband on the low end, just keeping it in check. I just like the sound of a multiband on low end. It just sounds quite nice. I'm just rounding off some harmonics that the FM is adding. There's some clicking going on as well, but I think that's being introduced by the ducks, and they're just sort of slapping down and creating a problem with like the DC offset. I've got a rare. I will go into these plugins as well by Analog Obsession, because they're all free. So if you want to see a video on these, let me know, and I'll get onto that. And then Saturn 2. I love Saturn 2 on subs. This is like basically the default preset. So give this a listen. Just gives it like nice hum. And I just put that on like normally I put that on like a 75% mix. So it still has that like meatiness of it, but then there's like that hum on the top end, which is quite nice. And then again, I'm just rounding off some of those harmonics. And then that's being sidechained by these ducks, which are just on the kick and snare. And yeah, and then for the second bass, which is this one. No, this one. And yeah, this one is just, again, another really bait cymatic sample. Yeah, like just really cheesy. And yeah, there's a ton of them. And I'd use all of these because they all sound great. The thing is, when it comes to like pitching these sounds down and then manipulating them, you really, all you want is just really high quality sounds, because the trick to really get these sounds sounding really clean when you do pitch them down is, if I just go over to the end of the project and drag a random sound in, like that was perfect. What you do is you take it, you double click, you make sure warp mode is off. When you pitch it down, so it gets longer, and then pitch these down and give them a listen. There we go. So let's go back to the top. And yeah, I think when you pitch these sounds down, and like you just like run amps through them and really give it a welly. If I turn all this off, that's what it sounds like. It just sounds like a growly. Then give it some EQ and then some compression, like distortion, amplification, and then you just run that through with a sub bass following the same pitch. Because what's great about these vocal shots is that they give you, a pitch. So that one's in D. So I know if I pitch that down 36 semitones, that's 3 octaves low. So that's like D. It'll be like recorded like D3 or D2. I know that's like a D0 or D-1. And then on the keyboard, I can like sort of figure that out. And yeah, or you can run it through a sampler and do it that way. Whatever works for you. Just at least you know the key, and it's sustained, and it's you can even run run things that aren't in key through auto tunes to try and get things in time. I do that quite a lot. And yeah, I think there's a ton of different possibilities when it comes to manipulating audio in this way to create a bass. But yeah, that's how I go about making like these sort of like vocally distorted basses. So yeah, that's basically it. If you found this video useful, guys, please leave a like, helps me out a lot. If you've got any suggestions for any future videos, please leave them in the comment section down below. If you want to join my Discord server, links are down there as well. If you want to support me on Patreon, my Patreon's in the description as well. And I do live streams every now and again. It's pretty unstructured as to when I do those. If you want to know when I'm going live, Twitter's probably the best place to find out when, because whenever I go live, I post a notification on there. Also, join the Discord, you can get a notification in there as well. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video, guys. Peace.